Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Tulsi Maharani Jaya, Brinda Devi Jaya, Tulsi Maharani Jaya, Brinda Devi, Brinda Devi Jaya, Tulsi Maharani Jaya, Brinda Devi, Jaya Brinde, Jaya Brinde, Jaya Brinde, Jaya Brinde, Jaya Brinde, Jaya Brinde, Jaya Shri Brinde, Brindayai Tulsi Devyai Priyayai Kesavasacha Vishnu Bhakti Paradevi Satyavachai Namo Namaha. Devyai Priyayai Kesavasacha Vishnu Bhakti Paradevi Satyavachai Namo Namaha. Brindayai Tulsi Devyai Priyayai Kesavasacha Vishnu Bhakti Paradevi Satyavachai Namo Namaha. Vrindaya Tulsi Devyai Priyayai Kesavasacha Vishnu Bhakti Paradevi Satyavachai Namo Namaha. Tulsi Maharani Ki Jai. Now let us offer our respectful obeisances unto all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord who are just like desire trees, fulfill the desires of everyone, and they are full of compassion for the fallen conditioned souls. Jai. Vanchakalpa Tarubhishya Kripa Sindhu Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namo.
Hare Krishna. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradhari. Vallabha Girivaradhari. Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradhari. Labha Girivaradhari. Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana. Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana. Jana Braja Janaranjana. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradhari. Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradhari. Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana. Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama Hare Rama, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajacharya Astotara Satashi Srimad, His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai, Prem Sasaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai, Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai, Mayapur Dham Ki Jai, Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai, Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai, Samaveda Bhaktavrinda Ki Jai, Gaur Premanandi Hari Hari Bol. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shishi Guru and Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So today we're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 49, Text 21. Eka prasuyate jantur Eka eva praliyate Eko nu bhunkte sukritam Eka eva chaduskritam Eka prasuyate jantur Eka eva praliyate Eko nu bhunkte sukritam Eka eva chadushkritam Eka prasuyate jantur Eka eva praliyate Eko nu bhunkte sukritam Eka eva chaduskritam Eka prasuyate jantur Eka eva praliyate te sukritam Eka eva chaduskritam Eka prasuyate jantur Anyone else? Eka prasuyate jantur Eka eva praliyate Eka anubhunkte sukritam Eka eva chadush Eka prasuyate jantur Eka eva praliyate Eko nu bhunkte sukritam Eka eva chadushkritam Ekaha alone prasuyate is born jantuhu a living creature Ekaha alone eva also praliyate meets his demise Ekaha alone anubhunkte enjoys as is due him sukritam his good reactions Ekaha alone evacha and surely dushkritam bad reactions. So here we have the word eka, 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 eka in the beginning of each line. So eka prasuyate jantur. So alone we are born. Prasuyate means born. Eka eva praliyate. Alone we meet with the demise or death. Eka anubhunkte. So sukritam. Alone we enjoy the good results of our activity. And eka eva duskritam. And alone we suffer the reactions of our bad reactions. Translation. Every creature is born alone and dies alone. And alone one experiences the just rewards of his good and evil deeds. Please repeat. Every creature is born alone and dies alone. And alone one experiences the just rewards of his good and evil deeds. Purport by the followers of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. The term anubhunkte is significant here. Bhunkte means the living being experiences, and anu means following or in sequence. In other words, we experience happiness and distress according to the moral and spiritual quality of our activities. We're responsible for what we do. Dhritarashtra was falsely and obsessively attached to his evil-minded sons, forgetting that he alone would have to suffer for his imprudent behavior. And commentaries. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur writes, one sentence, there, at the time of birth and death, happiness and distress, one has no relationship with others, one is alone. And Jiva Goswami, one is born alone and dies alone. Instead of praliyate, sometimes pramiyate is destroyed, is seen. The word eva should be understood after all the words ekaha. No friend helps when one is prosperous. What to speak of when one is in danger? The word cha means all. One alone enjoys after death, anu, in another body, all the good and bad results of karma after being together with sons. And Sanatana Goswami is similar. One is born alone and dies alone. Instead of praliyate, sometimes pramiyate is seen. Living beings are born without free choice of their bodies. They must experience in that particular body. One enjoys or suffers after death, as previously mentioned. After enjoying with sons in one life, in the next one must suffer and enjoy all alone. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuru Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvetam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gorangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Prem Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, everybody. So we're reading. Akrura is in Hastinapur on a mission, and just before he's leaving, he was there for a while, just observing how everything was going on in the kingdom, how Dhritarashtra was treating the Pandavas. Krishna had sent him, and just before leaving, he's going to Dhritarashtra and giving him some good advice. So how many times in the Mahabharata has Dhritarashtra gotten good advice? So many times. And he's not able to accept it. And he knows it. He knows it. At the end of this conversation, we'll hear Dhritarashtra's words. He's going to say, like, thank you so much. You're giving me such good words. It's sounding like nectar to my ears. But I'm sorry, I can't accept it. I'm too attached. He himself knows it, and he tells it. And he says, and he even says some nice words about Krishna. Yes, Krishna is a supreme controller, and he says some beautiful glorification of Krishna, but still he's not able to accept. So it's quite an interesting phenomena that we may know so much, but ultimately it's up to us whether we accept it or not, and that's our choice. So Akrura is giving good advice to Dhritarashtra, and actually it's mentioned in one of the previous verses that Krishna and Balaram gave him the message to tell Dhritarashtra. So these words that Akrura is speaking to Dhritarashtra, we can see it as Krishna and Balaram message to Dhritarashtra, and also a message for us that we can also apply in our lives. So he basically, what Akrura has been telling Dhritarashtra, first of all, he said that you're now the king, and as a king, your duty should be to religiously protect the subjects, protect the earth, and you should treat your relatives equally, the Pandavas and the Kauravas. That's your duty as a king. A king is supposed to be equal to all the subjects, and these are also your subjects. So how you are treating your sons better than the Pandavas is really unfair, and because of that, you're going to get hellish reactions in this life. People are going to condemn you, and in the next life also you'll have hellish conditions. And then he begins to speak philosophy, the basic philosophy that we hear, that Krishna speaks in the Bhagavad Gita, how we're eternal souls, we're spiritual beings, but we're in a temporary world, and people are holding on to things in this, thinking that these things will protect one, the body, our wealth, our possessions, and ultimately our relatives, our family. We're thinking all of these will protect us, but everything is very fleeting in this world. It's temporary, like a dream. A dream, you can be so absorbed in a dream, and then you wake up and it's like all gone. It's just, you may remember it a little bit later, but it's gone. So in the same way, everything in this world is like that. So Akrura is speaking that basic philosophy to Dhritarashtra here, just trying to get it into his mind that you're so attached to your sons, thinking that, I need to protect them, I need to give them a good kingdom. He's feeling like I was treated unjustly, and I don't want my children to be treated unjustly. I want them to have a better kingdom than the Pandavas. And so he's very, very attached. And Akrura, through Krishna's message, is trying to release his attachment and trying to remind him of the philosophy of Krishna consciousness. So ekaha, in this verse it's ekaha. Alone we take birth. If you see a child, he has to go through that birth by himself. No one else, the mother's there, the father's there, but the child has to experience that by himself. And even if there's twins, each child has to experience that experience by themselves. And at the time of death, people may be surrounding us, supporting us, but we have to go through that by ourselves, that experience of that leaving the body. And enjoying the fruits of our karma and suffering the fruits of our karma, that's also something that we only have to go through. Nobody else can take that for us. It's not like somebody can say, oh, you're suffering so much, I'll take some of it, I'll relieve you of that. Of course, the spiritual master does very kindly, but when he takes initiation, he relieves us of a lot of that karma. But in life, we have to go through these milestones alone, which is incredible, that we think that we're surrounded by loving family and things that will protect us, but actually we're going through this alone, which is, in one way, it can kind of scare us, right? You could feel like, wow, I have to go through this by myself. Especially the time of death is such a scary thing, and that we have to face that alone is can be very fearful, but in another sense, it can be very hopeful, because this philosophy helps us to depend on the real source. In one way, we're never alone. We always have the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, with us. So hearing how we are alone can help us switch into that spiritual understanding. I'm never alone. I'm with Krishna. So this philosophy that Akrura is speaking to Dhritarashtra reminded me of a verse in the second canto, chapter 1, text 4. Sukadeva Goswami says, Deha patya kalatradishu atma sanyeshva satvapi tesham pramato nidhanam pashyan api na pashyati. Persons devoid of atma tattva do not inquire into the problems of life, being too attached to the fallible soldiers like the body, children, and wife. Fallible means mortal or weak, or Yeah. Although sufficiently experienced, they still do not see their inevitable destruction. Purport. And this purport of Srila Prabhupada, it's very, how do you say, like really strong and really to the point, and it just can wake us up from, if we have any attachments to this world, it can just like wake us up from those attachments. And I was thinking how when we distribute Srila Prabhupada's books and people get one of the books and they open up to a page and they read some of these words that you don't hear this anywhere else, right? That just the reality that you're putting so much faith in something that's illusory, and it's just like, it can just wake people up. Just one sentence can be like, wow, I've never thought about that. And that can be the start of their spiritual journey. And that's what the spiritual master does. Oma Jnana Timirandasya. He removes the covering of ignorance over our eyes. So these words of Srila Prabhupada, even for us who we've heard this philosophy so much, right? But every time we hear it, at least for me, it feels like a relief in one way, because it's like, oh yes, it reminds us of what is real. This is 214. Purport. This material world is called the world of death. That's a pretty heavy statement already. This world is a world of death. Every living being, beginning from Brahma, whose duration of life is some thousands of millions of years, down to the germs who live for a few seconds only, is struggling for existence. Wow. Whoever talks like that this world is a world of death and everyone's struggling for existence. Therefore, this life is a sort of fight with material nature, which imposes death upon all. So have you ever felt like this world is kind of like a fight? It's just like you're constantly fighting against the material nature. It's difficult. In the human form of life, a living being is competent enough to come to an understanding of this great struggle for existence. But being too attached to family members, society, country, etc., he wants to win over the invincible material nature by the aid of bodily strength, children, wife, relatives, etc. So in human form of life, this is the chance where we can wake up from the dream. But we, because of the false ego and the maya that Krishna places us, we're an illusion. We think this body will protect me, my family will protect me. Although he is sufficiently experienced in the matter by dint of past experience and previous examples of his deceased predecessors, he does not see that the so-called fighting soldiers, like the children, relatives, society members, and countrymen, are all fallible in the great struggle. One should examine the fact that his father, or his father's father, has already died, and that he himself is therefore also sure to die. And similarly, his children, who are the would-be fathers of their children, will also die in due course. No one will survive in this struggle with material nature. In this world, people don't talk about death so bluntly like this. Like just look at your father died, your father's father, and then your children will all. This is a world of death, Prabhupada's basically saying. The history of human society definitely proves it. Yet the foolish people still suggest that in the future they will be able to live perpetually with the help of material science. This poor fund of knowledge exhibited by human society is certainly misleading, and it is all due to ignoring the constitution of the living soul. This material world exists only as a dream due to our attachment to it. So it's just a dream due to our attachment. As soon as we release that attachment, we won't be in this dream world anymore. Otherwise, the living soul is always different from the material nature. The great ocean of material nature is tossing with the waves of time, and the so-called living conditions are something like foaming bubbles, which appear before us as bodily self, wife, children, society, countrymen, etc. Due to a lack of knowledge of self, we become victimized by the force of ignorance and thus spoil the valuable energy of human life in a vain search after permanent living conditions, which are impossible in this material world. Permanent living conditions are impossible in this material world. It's like being in an ocean and you see a bubble coming up and you think, oh, that's the one. And you trying to hold on to it and it just will fade away. Just the bubbles, foaming bubbles in the ocean was come and go. And Prabhupada continues, our friends, relatives, and so-called wives and children are not only fallible, but also bewildered by the outward glamour of material existence. As such, they cannot save us. Still, we think that we are safe within the orbit of family, society, or country. The whole materialistic advancement of human civilization is like the decoration of a dead body. This is also very heavy. We put so much into this life, but it's just a decoration of a dead body. Everyone is a dead body, flapping only for a few days. And yet all the energy of human life is being wasted in the decoration of this dead body. Shukadev Goswami is pointing out the duty of the human being after showing the actual position of bewildered human activities. Persons who are devoid of the knowledge of Atma Tattva are misguided, but those who are devotees of the Lord have perfect realization of transcendental knowledge and are not bewildered. So there's a story about, I think it's Narada Muni and a hunter, but I don't think it's Mrigari, but it's one story where Narada Muni shows the hunter that all these animals that you're killing, he shows a vision of how they're going to attack that person. And then he says, and your family members are not going to take those reactions. You have to suffer that yourself. And the hunter says, no, they'll help me. And he goes back and he asks his family, like, you'll help me, right? You'll take part of the sins of this? And the family said, no way, we're not taking any of that. And then he goes back to Narada Muni and surrenders. So do you know who that is? I don't think it's Mrigari, because Mrigari is a different story where, yeah. I'm not sure who that is, but it just goes to show that alone we have to go through the reactions of our activities and taking birth, leaving this world. It's all our own journey. There's also another story. It's from a Tibetan wisdom. It's like this rich king with 4 wives. And he was very attached to the 4th wife. He always gave her all rich robes and delicacies. And the 3rd wife, he was always showing her off to others. And then his 2nd wife was very kind-hearted and caring. In difficult times, he could depend on her. And the 1st wife, he just ignored, even though she was so loyal and deeply loved him. And when he died, when he was about to die, he asked the wives if they could come with him. And the 4th wife says, he said to the 4th wife, I loved you the most, come with me. And she said, by no means. And she didn't. And then the 3rd wife, she said, no, I'm not going to go with you. I'm going to remarry. And then the 2nd wife, she said, I can go up to your the funeral, but I can't go beyond that. And then then he was feeling so discouraged, and the 1st wife quietly said, I'll come with you. And he looked at her and he saw that she was so emaciated because he hadn't paid any attention to her. And who these represent are, the 4th wife represents, the wife that he was so attached to represents the body. But the body won't go with us when we die. And the 3rd wife represents our possessions. He was showing her off, the possessions, the wealth. That will be distributed after our death. That's why she said, I'll remarry. It just gets distributed. You can't take that with you either. 2nd wife represents our family and friends. They can go only up to the funeral. They can't go beyond that. They can't go with us to the next life. And the 1st wife represents the soul. And I would say, because we neglect that, our real self, that's the only part that actually goes with us. And then I would say, of course, Krishna was with us with Paramatma. He's also going with us. So when I was reading this verse about alone, how we are alone, it can be very scary. And sometimes Prabhupada, actually there's a verse in the Bhagavatam where, when the Pandavas, when they were leaving their bodies, when they were just going, they were ready to retire and they were going up into the Himalayas, and each one was leaving, like falling and leaving, and they just kept going. And they weren't even caring for Draupadi because they were focused on their goal. And in that purport there, in 1:15:50, where Draupadi saw that her husbands were leaving without caring for her, and she just focused on Krishna, her own relationship with Krishna. And in that purport, Prabhupada says, when flying an airplane, one cannot take care of other planes. Everyone has to take care of his own plane. And if there's any danger, no other plane can help another in that condition. Similarly, at the end of life, when one has to go back home, back to Godhead, everyone has to take care of himself without the help rendered by another. This help, however, is offered on the ground before flying in space. Similarly, the spiritual master, the father, the mother, the relatives, the husband, and others can all render help during one's lifetime. But while crossing the sea, one has to take care of himself and utilize the instructions formally received. So flying a plane, if you're flying a plane, another plane can't help you, right? You have to do it yourself. But on the ground, you can get all the help. So similarly, we have the association of the devotees, and they give so much support, the spiritual master, the advice, the encouragement, everything we're getting, everything. But ultimately, the choice is ours, like what we're going to do. And when it comes to the final test, the final exam, it's up to us how we're going to pass it, because we have to pass it alone, right? Of course, the devotees will be helping us and supporting us, and we'll have Krishna in our heart who's also guiding us. So it's simultaneous. It's two things. One thing is we have the full, full network of support. Another hand, we are individuals, and we have that individual relationship with Krishna and our individual path. So that can be something that we can remember. How is my individual relationship with Krishna? And how is my personal journey in spiritual life? How is that going? Because ultimately, that's the thing that will be showing up when we pass through that final exam. And in another sense, ultimately, we are not alone, because as we know, Krishna has been accompanying us lifetime after lifetime as our best friend in our heart, Suridam. So even at in the birth, the death, the reactions of our pious and sinful activities, Krishna's with us, and he's the only one who's with us. So we can depend on him and fully depend on him, whereas we can't depend on the fallible soldiers of this world. One time in a letter, Prabhupada wrote to somebody, Trivikram, he was writing a letter to Trivikram, and he said, in the telegram it says Trivikram is alone and more men are required urgently. I do not understand what he means by alone. What is this alone? Vaishnava is never alone. When I first came to the United States, I was seemingly alone for 1 year, but I never felt alone. I always felt the presence of my Guru Maharaj. Myself, I was cooking, I was printing books, I was selling books, everything seemingly alone. But I did not lose my determination. Actually, you should know this, you are never alone. So one hand, alone, another hand, never alone. And it's a matter of material conception or spiritual conception. So in the material conception of the dream, yes, we're completely alone. Spiritual conception, we're never alone because we're always with Krishna, and Krishna is always accompanied by all the pure devotees. So these are just some thoughts on these topics, and want to see if anyone wants to say any other realizations on these points or questions or anything. Yeah. Dhritarashtra? Oh, he felt like he was mistreated because he was blind, he was not given the kingdom, and even though he was the oldest son, so he felt like injustice had been done to him. So he always harbored that, even though he was now king. He always felt like I want my sons to have the kingdom after me. So he harbored that kind of the feeling in his heart. Yeah. It wasn't justified. It was not justified. Yeah, it was his, yeah. Yeah, so another how do we focus on the spiritual and forget the internal detachment while we're going through our life, developing that internal detachment. And how do we do that? I didn't get a chance, but there's actually in Bhaktivinoda Thakur's songs, he talks about how he sees his family, he sees his house, he sees his wealth all as Krishna's. So he's just a caretaker. He says, I'm just a caretaker of my family. I'm just a caretaker of this house. And if we have that mood, then we'll have that internal detachment while living in this world. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Samasitam Buddha Sundarangam Kandar Agom Vikamaniya Vishesha Shobha Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Angani Yasa Sakalen Priya Priti Manti Vasyan Dipan Kayanti Jiram Naganti Ananda Chinmaya Sadhu Jala Vigrahasya Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adi Purusham
রাধা কৃষ্ণ বল বলো রে সবাই রাধা কৃষ্ণ বল বলো রে সবাই শিখা দিয়া শাবনা দিয়া পিছে নিচে গর্ণিতায় পিছে নিচে গর্ণিত শিখা দিয়া শাবনা দিয়া পিছে নিচে গর্ণিতায় রাধা কৃষ্ণ বলো রে সবাই রাধা কৃষ্ণ বলো রে সবাই নিচে মায়ার বসে যাচ্ছ বেশে কাছো হাবু দুবোবার সে যাচ্ছ বেশে কাছো হাবু দুবোব মায়ার বসে যাচ্ছ বেশে কাছো হাবু দুবোবার মায়ার বসে যাচ্ছ বেশে কাছো হাবু দুবো রাধা কৃষ্ণ বলো রে সবাই রাধা কৃষ্ণ বলো রে সবাই জীব কৃষ্ণ দাস এই বিশ্বাস করলে তো আর দুঃখ নাই কৃষ্ণ দাস এই বিশ্বাস করলে তো আর জীব কৃষ্ণ দাস এই বিশ্বাস করলে তো আর দুঃখ নাই রাধা কৃষ্ণ বলো রে সবাই রাধা কৃষ্ণ বলো রে সবাই কৃষ্ণ বলবে যাবে পুলা খাবে জড়বে আঙ্কি বলি তাই যাবে পুলা খাবে কৃষ্ণ বলবে যাবে পুলা খাবে জড়বে আঙ্কি বলি তাই রাধা কৃষ্ণ বলো রে সবাই রাধা কৃষ্ণ বলো রে সবাই কৃষ্ণ বলো সঙ্গে চলো এ মাত্রা ভিকা চায় কৃষ্ণ বলো সঙ্গে চলো এ মাত্রা ভিকা চায় রাধা কৃষ্ণ বলো রে সবাই রাধা কৃষ্ণ বলো রে সবাই সাকা বিপদ ভক্তি বিনোদ বলে যাং কোনো নাম গায় Sakabi pod bhakti vinod bole janko no nam gaye. Radha Krishna bol bol bolo re shobai. Radha Krishna bol bol bolo re shobai. Radha Krishna bol bol bolo re shobai. Radha Krishna bo bo bolo re shobai. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram. Jaya Radha Golokananda, Radha Golokananda, Shri Radhe. Jaya Radha Golokananda, Radha Golokananda, Shri Radhe. Jaya Giri Govardhan, Jaya Giri Govardhan, Jaya Giri Govardhan, Jaya Giri Govardhan. Jaya Gaura Nitai, Jaya Gaura Nitai, Gaura Nitai, Jaya Gaura Nitai. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev. Shri Radha Golokananda ki jai. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur ki jai. Chant, chant, Radha Krishna, everyone chant. When Gornitai came dancing through Nadia, They gave these teachings. Chant, chant, Radha Krishna, everyone chant. Brother, you are caught up in a whirlpool of senseless action and are sinking lower and lower. Chant, chant, Radha Krishna, everyone chant. If you just understand that the spirit soul is a servant of Krishna, you will suffer no more. Chant, chant, Radha Krishna, everyone chant. Chant Hare Krishna and your eyes will fill with tears of joy and your body will shiver in ecstasy. Chant, chant, Radha Krishna, everyone chant. Simply join us and chant Radha Krishna. These are the only alms we beg. Chant, chant, Radha Krishna, everyone chant. All dangers will be gone when the holy names are chanted, says Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Chant, chant, Radha Krishna, everyone chant. Bhaktivinoda Thakur ki jai. Yeah, chant. Haribo. Arpanam.
Shreya Kairavya Chandrika Vitaranam Vidyavadu Jivanam Anandam Buddhi Vardhanam Pratipanam Purnamrita Swadanam Sarvatma Snapanam Paramvijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam Nam Namakari Amada Nija Sarva Shaktis Tatrapita Niyamita Smaranena Kala Etadrishita Vakripa Bhagavan Mamapi Nurdaiva Midvishami Hajjanina Nuraga Trinada Pisuchena Tarora Pisahishuna Amanina Manadena Kirtaniya Sadahari Nadanam Najanam Nasundarim Kavitam Va Jagadisha Kamaye Mama Janmani Janmani Ishvare Bhavatad Bhaktir Hoitaki Twai Ainanda Tanuja Kinkaram Patitam Mam Vishame Banamrida Kripayata Vabada Pankaja Stita Duli Sadrishim Vachintaya Nayanam Galarushu Daraya Nanyanam Nanivayagiram Pulakarnishitam Kadukada Tavanamagrahane Bhavishyati Yugayatam Numishena Chakshusha Pravashayatam Shunayatam Jagat Sarvam Govindam Virahename Ashlishyava Padaratam Panastumam Adarshanam Marmahata Karotuva Yatatava Badadatulam Pato Matprananatastu Saeva Napara. Victory to the Sri Krishna Sankirtan, which cleanses the heart of all the dust accumulated for years and extinguishes the fire of conditional life, of repeated birth and death. This Sankirtan movement is the prime benediction for humanity at large because it spreads the rays of the benediction moon. It is the life of all transcendental knowledge. You know, it's the ocean of transcendental bliss and enables us. Beautiful, Prabhu. Oh, my Lord. Oh, render all benediction to living beings. And thus you have hundreds and millions of names like Krishna and Govinda. In these transcendental names, you have invested all your transcendental energies. There are not even hard and fast rules for chanting these names. Us to easily approach you by your holy names, but I am so unfortunate that I have no attraction for them. The holy name of the Lord in a humble state of mind, thinking oneself lower than the straw on the street, one